Hey my friends, it's your old pal Jordan the Lion. How are you all doing today? I hope you said great. I'm doing great, Ja's doing great, and we're gonna have a great day because sadly we are leaving Ohio, but we are headed to Chicago, on the road to Chicago. Actually, that's not a real song. I think I was singing The Road to Morocco with Bob and Bing. Man, we got bees all over the place here. But anyway, we're making our way to Chicago because we have some big plans while we're in Chicago. And there are a couple of things I wanted to stop and see along the way, and you're going with me. We're gonna see a lot of statues, but they all have a great story, and I think you'll know a lot about them. So, Daze with Jordan the Lion, Joster, and you all, it begins right now. And wow, what a place to start. I don't even know where we are, but it looked like the perfect place to start. You guys probably wanted to see Sleeping Beauty, didn't you? There he is. He's awake, but only for a second. Hello, Indiana! So the first town that I wanted to stop in is Valparaiso, Indiana. All right, that bridge says Valparaiso. We are almost to our destination. So of all the odd things, I'm here to show you a statue of Orville Redenbacher, and I'll be danged if they don't have the park closed, so we'll have to do it like this because he doesn't actually have a grave or anything. And this is the adoptive hometown of Orville Redenbacher. He was not born here. In fact, he didn't even move here until he was like 44, 45 years old, so it's kind of crazy that he would call it his adoptive hometown, but I'll tell you why he did that and why this place was significant in his life. It's a really great likeness. I would have loved to have been over there sitting next to him on the bench talking about him. You can see Orville right here. So yeah, he actually grew up in Indiana in a town called Brazil, and his family had a farm, and he was expected to help work on the farm with his brothers and sisters, which he did, but you know, his family was not rich by any means, so his brothers and sisters had to finish school when they were in 8th grade and start working on the farm. But he was always an overachiever, and he would work on the farm growing up, and then when he was done with his chores and everything he had to do on the farm, he would actually, his father gave him a small plot of land, and he would grow his own popping corn and harvest it and then sell it in town in Brazil and Terre Haute. And so he was always working. In fact, that's people that were friends with him said he was just always working growing up. So he ended up being so good at school that he was able to, at the age of 12, finish up the 8th grade, and he could manage all of his workload at home as well as going to school. So he continued on through high school and graduated at the age of 16. He went from there to, and throughout this, he was a big member of the 4-H, and he was participating and competing in all the county, state, nationwide 4-H competitions and was winning them. So he was going to school, working on his family farm, and doing all of his own 4-H projects. And eventually when he graduated high school at 16, he went up to Purdue. And when he was at Purdue, he was on the track team, he was on the cross-country team, he was the president of his agriculture fraternity. He loved to learn, and he also was in the marching band. He came to Purdue as a trumpet player. They didn't need one, so he learned the sousaphone and played in that. Also got straight A's and eventually graduated at the age of 20 and became a school teacher for a year. But he only did it for a year because then he got a job as a county agent, and the county agent's job was basically to go out to farms and fill them in on all the progress and things that were going on in the agricultural field as far as technology and things like that. So he ended up doing this for quite a few years and was the first person to have a national crop and farm report, agriculture report on the radio when radio was first out. So after being a county agent for a while, he ended up getting offered a job. Two men bought the largest farm in Indiana and wanted him to manage it. And it was actually gonna be 12,000 acres. So he and his family took the job and went and worked on Princeton Farms, managing the farm. He was innovative in using hybrid seeds, different things that Purdue had been working on to perfect popping corn. He was always obsessed, no matter what he was doing with popping corn, and was always trying to work on his own. So eventually he ended up getting an opportunity to buy a seed company that would bring him to Valparaiso. So he and a friend that he knew from Purdue partnered up, bought the seed company, and started doing that for years. And he was working on his popping corn even then, and he was selling it. He was doing well, but he had perfected what he thought was some great popping corn. It's just that it was 2 to 3 times more expensive than what the market had. So he was having trouble finding a company that wanted to release it, so they had to put it out themselves. And even doing that, they didn't really have the reach to get it nationwide, so they hired an advertising agency, and the advertising agency looked over their entire business model and everything, and then came back to them and said, "We think the perfect name for your product is Orville Redenbacher popcorn," which he thought was really funny because he said that his mother had the same idea all those years ago and she named him. So with the advertising agency, he started making more money selling the popcorn, and then eventually found a distributor that would get it nationwide, and they asked him to basically go promote it. So he would take off in a car and go all over the country promoting and being the face of the popcorn. And then eventually they made commercials. So we basically know the rest of the story, that Orville's popcorn became the best-selling popcorn out of like 82 brands while he was alive. It was always a little bit more expensive, but it was high quality. And my mom says even she won't have anything but Orville Redenbacher popcorn in her house. So he basically started the company here, and that was where he grew everything, and then eventually sold it to, I think it was to Hunt Wesson, and they took over his product. And part of the deal was that he would, or that they would keep the name Orville Redenbacher for the popcorn in perpetuity and use his face as the brand image in perpetuity as well. And they have a plaque here that tells the story of Orville and Charlie Bowman starting the popcorn company here, but we'll read that next time we come through. So I guess we'll have to come back when they're having the popcorn festival. I think we just missed it. It looks like they're doing some sort of town jam here in the park. But I also wanted to come check this place out because one of my favorite podcasters and comedians, Ryan O'Neal, is from this town. His family owned the Valparaiso Motel for years. And Ryan O'Neal and his dad, the great Steve O'Neal, have been listening to Danish O'Neal podcasts and Beach Cops for over a decade, and he's from here, so I just thought I'd give them a shout out. We have some more stuff to see, so we're out of Valparaiso for now. Cool bus. Yeah, actually I think the carpetbagger's from Valparaiso as well, now that I think about it. I did not see his statue while I was here though. Couldn't find that one. Now we're heading to a place that we actually have been before. We're going to Gary, Indiana, and there's something that I kind of noticed when my mom and I were watching TV last night I want to check out at the old childhood home of Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. There's our sign. It says, "The people of Gary welcome us." Thank you. Yep, the Jackson 5 and the Jacksons actually lived on Jackson Street. So here we are at the house where it literally like all started, where the family started playing music together here. But the reason I wanted to come, other than I'm just a huge Michael Jackson fan, always was, always will be, is that there was recently, my mom and I were watching it, a TMZ special called Who Killed Michael Jackson, or Who Really Killed Michael Jackson, and they actually had interviews with Conrad Murray and Debbie Rowe, and it was kind of examining Michael's life. In a lot of ways, I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. I didn't realize, like, daily he was having, he was seeing his dermatologist, and he was having like surgeries just to get the drugs that they would numb him with. And so it just, you know, it was crazy. He said originally that everything stemmed back to the Pepsi commercial and him catching on fire and the pain from that. But then in the documentary, they show footage of Michael saying like that he can't sleep when he's on tour, and that he actually hates touring. He said, "I hate it." And they go, "Michael, no, cut. Michael, give us something more positive." He's like, "But I do hate touring. Like, I can't ever sleep. I can't, you know, it's torture." They go, "Michael, we need something positive." Okay, action. He goes, "I love touring." And everybody like starts laughing in the room, but that's sad. They didn't really care about this guy, and they just pumped him full of whatever to keep him going until he was addicted. And then, you know, sad. It says, "You gave us a lifetime of love, the Jackson family." You know, you can't get in to actually see Michael's grave at Forest Lawn. It's in a private section, but the reason I wanted to come out here was because they show in that documentary outside of Michael's living residence at Neverland, and these kind of statues were out there. And there used to be, I'd seen like photos where there was another one right here, and I think the one that used to be out here, I believe somebody stole. That one used to be at Neverland outside the house because I recognized it. So I wanted to come and see. I was like, yep, those are definitely the same style that were there in that footage. But yeah, what a sad loss, man. Thriller, bad, off the wall, dangerous, all that stuff. And just an amazing dancer, performer, beloved by so many. And whew, in the end, it was, you know, he had this big tour that everybody was looking forward to, and then it never got to happen. So both houses are owned by the family, and people are stopping here the whole time. Every time I've been here, he has so many fans that there are always people stopping here. I think they used to do tours of the house, but they don't anymore. They do have a few plaques. I'll show you, there's another one over there by that entrance. And they have quite a few right here. Isn't that crazy to think of a young little Michael Jackson playing in that front yard and coming down these little steps? As you can see, they have an accommodation from the mayor for Michael. Then his brothers have put their names on a brick here. And right up here up top, they have "In memory of Michael Joseph Jackson" with the glove, and above it are his parents, Joseph and Catherine, who, you know, boy, his father is very controversial because of the way he treated him. But it's almost in one of those weird ways, like without his father, there would have been no Jackson 5, there would have been no Michael the performer probably. And then over here you have his sisters, Janet, Latoya, and Reby. And then this is really nice. They have a lot of people wishing him a happy birthday, of course, because his birthday was in August. I just had to stop because we were coming through, and I wanted to see if those statues were the same kind that I saw in the pictures of Neverland Ranch, and they are. So we're going to be departing Gary, and I want to see something else very interesting, another statue at the state line. I haven't hit too much traffic today. I've been kind of surprised. We'll see as we go to Chicago if that, once we get a little closer to Chicago over the state line, if that's the case. So we made our way over to the Indiana Welcome Center, which is right on the border, of course, of Illinois, Indiana. I had to show you something. This place is great because one of my all-time favorite movies ever is A Christmas Story. And of course, A Christmas Story was filmed in Cleveland and some in Canada. And I've actually toured the Christmas Story house and shown you guys that. But in the movie, it's supposed to take place in Indiana. So they kind of honor that here by, on this flagpole, having Flick. Remember in A Christmas Story when they dare him to put his tongue to the pole because he's saying, oh, it's just an old myth, that won't happen. Well, how cool is that? One of the things that I saw was that they said in order to do the effect, what they had to do was they had to drill a hole in the pole itself, and then they ran like a vacuum tube up here, and then it sucked his tongue into that tiny little hole so that it looked like it was actually stuck to it. That is so funny, man. I love the idea that they did that. Incidentally, kid that played Flick, same one from the toy. Now check this out. Not only do they have that, but Triple Dog Dare. Push here to learn more about the iconic holiday movie, A Christmas Story, and its roots here in Hammond, Indiana.
Hello, this is Scott Schwartz. I played Flick in the Christmas classic film, A Christmas Story. Through a cooperative partnership with Warner Brothers, the Indiana Welcome Center hosts A Christmas Story Comes Home exhibit, which is based on the holiday classic film, A Christmas Story. Written by Gene Shepard.
Oh, then guess what? We got to go in the Welcome Center. We got to see some of the Christmas Story tribute. Let's check it out. Hello. Okay, so apparently that's only seasonal, but they do have this up year round that you can take a photo with. So I guess the exhibit will be back in there. But that's really cool that they were authorized to do this with the film company. We have a Legends Hall here, and the man who wrote it, Gene Parker Shepard, is honored on that wall right there. He wrote A Christmas Story. And of course they're honoring Orville Redenbacher and the Jacksons. Everybody we've seen today can actually buy Christmas Story merch here. That might be the best winter hat of all time. Oh, fudge. And a leg lamp stocking, that's great. So they gave me this inside. We will definitely have to do this next time. They actually have a map of Gene Shepard's boyhood home and where his friends that the characters were actually based off of, where they lived. So we can hit all those addresses and show where the real Flick's house and Schwartz house was, and the school. There's our Welcome to Illinois sign right up there. We are officially there. There's the Swap-A-Rama. All right, my friends, we're gonna call it a day. I wanna thank Shirlene Cleveland for becoming my newest Patreon and helping to support my channel. Thank you all for watching, and we have a lot of adventures here in Chicago. There's some really epic stuff that I want to do while we're here, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you come along. Thank you all for watching. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe, please hit the like, and please ring the bell for notifications. We'll see you all next time. Have a great night from Jordan the Lion and the Joster. Goodbye.